Good morning, everyone. We're going to be starting our service this morning by singing Where Do We Come From, which is hymn number 1003 in your teal hymnals if you'd like to look along. We're going to be singing it straight through 2 times on each line. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where do we come from? Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going?
We come to religious community from many paths and with diverse needs. If you have come here seeking comfort, may your pain be soothed. If you have come here looking for answers, may you find new questions. If you have come here seeking purpose, may your call be awakened. If you have come here hoping to build a new way, may the path open before you. So with all of these needs and hopes, come let us worship together. As we begin our service, as we always do, we take a moment of grounding to acknowledge that we are gathered on the traditional lands of the Duwamish people, stewards of this land, past and present. With humility and gratitude, we honor this land and the Duwamish tribe and commit to our role in the story of repair of our relationship with this land and with its people. Whoever you are, wherever you have come from, whatever the color of your skin, whoever and however you love, however your body moves and your brain works, however you identify, you are welcome in this faith community. Our Unitarian Universalist tradition has no test of faith, no creed or oath to swear. We have instead the promises we make to one another, commitments we make to healing a hurting world within and beyond these walls. Welcome, everyone.
Good morning. I'm Rick Taylor, a worship associate, joined this morning by Reverend Carter Smith. It's good to be together. This will be our question box service. If you're with us for the first time, or for the first time in a while, we're especially glad to have you. If you haven't already, please scan the QR code on the card in the pew to fill out our welcome form and sign up for our newsletter, the West Side Week. The chalice is the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist heritage. May its heat energize us for the work that is ours to do. May its light make our vision clear and bright. May its warmth comfort us always. This morning, as we light this flame, we mark this time as sacred time. We mark this space as sacred space. Our chalice lighter today is John Hornby. John, would you come forward? Now, as John lights our chalice, please join me in speaking the words of our congregation's affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship. Thus do we covenant with one another. Now let's take a moment to greet our neighbors around us. As always, it's great to see such lively conversations. We hope you'll continue the conversations during our coffee hour downstairs after the service. As is our community tradition, our chalice lighter has been asked to offer a piece of poetry that is meaningful to him. John?
Good morning. Does anybody think it's hot in here? Because I bundled up with a sweater and a jacket and a muffler, and I came in here and I started stripping everything off, and all of a sudden I became Steve Jobs. So last year, Reverend Carter did a series of sermons based on the poem Mary Oliver's The Summer Day. She did a deep exploration of the meanings of the phrases in the poem and helped us become more aware of the wonder of nature and our connection to it, and to live in the moment. My daughter helped me choose another of Mary Oliver's poems, Don't Hesitate, as meaningful to me in this difficult time for our country's future. Mary Oliver, by the way, published this in 2010. Here it is. If you suddenly and unexpectedly feel joy, don't hesitate. Give in to it. There are plenty of lives and whole towns destroyed or about to be. We're not wise and not very often kind, and much can never be redeemed. Still, life has some possibilities left. Perhaps this is its way of fighting back, that sometimes something happens better than all the riches or power of the world. It could be anything. But very likely you notice it in the instant love begins. Anyway, that's often the case. Anyway, whatever it is, don't be afraid of its plenty. Joy is not made to be a crumb. So, as I interpreted this, I recognize over the last year that I'm often not living in the moment. I've been doom scrolling on my phone, clicking on news stories, and making me feel powerless. It causes me to fear for my children and my grandson's future. But Oliver tells us that life is full of possibilities for good and of good. despite the destruction of the world of avarice by the world of avarice and greed. I see this philosophy as a way for me to fight back against my worry and poor sleep and be more in tune with the world around me. When joy comes, sudden and unexpected, I need to embrace it rather than hesitate or fear its impermanence. I have a couple of recent experiences that helped me start to attempt to do this, finding joy. A couple of days ago, I checked the hummingbird feeder that's attached to the window by suction cups on my apartment window. And I hadn't seen any activity around it for a while, so I thought maybe the reservoir was a little low on nectar. So I went up to check it, and just as I did, a hummingbird flew right up to it. And he saw me, and he was hovering, and I froze. I stock still. For about 15 seconds, he just hovered there, which probably in his life felt like 15 minutes or 15 hours. But he lit, and he started drinking from the plastic flowers. And as he did so, I was 4 inches from him. So I could see his little tongue going in and out and going from flower to flower, and he would just kind of shiver when he got the big hit of sugar in his system. and then he flew away when he was full. And I pulled away from the window, just amazed at what I had witnessed. Here's another example. My grandson, Leo, who's 13, is on the autism spectrum, and I took him to Patrick's bakery in White Center. As we entered the room, he said, "Hi, Patrick." And Patrick said, "How you doing, Leo?" And I thought, wow, they know each other. Quite a change from the way he used to be. And then also when I play Hot Wheels with him and he laughs at my lame jokes, that's another sense of joy. But when I look at that last line from the poem, life is not meant to be a crumb, it tells me to seek and accept abundant joy. It should be the whole cake and not just the crumbs. Joy is life's rebellion against despair, and in joy's fullness, remember, the world still holds wonder. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Now I invite you all to rise in body or spirit as we sing hymn number 1024, When the Spirit Says Do. And we'll just be replacing the do with a couple of other words. So it'll be up there, but it's the same tune. Okay. You got do. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you gotta do, oh Lord. You gotta do when the Spirit says do. 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 You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you gotta sing, oh Lord. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. 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 You gotta dance when the Spirit says dance. You gotta dance when the Spirit says dance. When the Spirit says dance, you gotta dance, oh Lord. You gotta dance when the Spirit says dance. 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 You gotta shout when the Spirit says shout. You gotta shout when the Spirit says shout. When the Spirit says shout, you gotta shout, oh Lord. You
Thank you, Scott Farrell. It is now our time for all ages, which will be led by Leilani Davenberry today. Anyone of any age who wishes to see or hear better, please come down to sit on the floor or in the front pews. After our story, children and youth will be invited to join today's religious exploration program. Today's special activity will be making cards with messages of care, love, support, and encouragement for our Minnesota UUs.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay? Wonderful. I'm going to lead us through an embodied kindness meditation, one of my favorites. So just a couple invitations. So if you want, you can just listen to the meditation. You can keep your eyes open. You can do a soft gaze. If at some point you want, you can close your eyes completely. When I say that I'm going to touch my chest and tummy, you can imagine the movement, or you can hover your hands, or you can rest them, okay? So just like some ground invitations. So to begin, I'm going to have us take 3 big breaths at your pace. I'm going to have you imagine a time, maybe recently, maybe in the past, where someone did something kind for you. Maybe they helped you with something, maybe they helped carry something, maybe they invited you over, made your special favorite food. Just remember how that felt. If you want, you can place your hand on your chest and your tummy and think about and remember and feel how receiving this kindness felt. Let this fill you up as you remember. And one more breath at your own pace. And then I'm going to invite you to remember when you were kind to someone else. Maybe you were a little extra patient with someone. Maybe you helped them clean up or set up. Maybe a neighbor needed some help with something and you helped them. Remember what being kind to someone felt like. How did you feel afterwards? Let this memory fill you up. And when you're ready, take another breath. And slowly come back to this room. Maybe open your eyes if they were closed. Maybe wiggle your fingers and toes and come back to this space and this room. And maybe think about someone who could use a little extra kindness today, this week, a neighbor, a friend, someone you don't even know. In the back of the sanctuary and downstairs, there are blank cards, and I invite everyone to make art, send messages of love and encourage to Minnesota UUs, and I will mail them this week.
Thanks. Thanks very much, Leilani, for that wonderful story. As our children go to their classes, let's all sing As You Go.
We hold you in our love
will share in our offering, a practice of generosity that sustains the work of this congregation. Each month, 1/3 of our undesignated offerings go to a partner in the wider community. For the month of January, our community giving recipient is Poor People's Campaign of Washington. Standing on the shoulders of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., we are taking his vision of the original Poor People's Campaign and running with it in our time. The campaign is uniting people across the country to challenge the evils of systemic racism, poverty, the war economy, ecological devastation, and the nation's distorted morality. You can give by cash or check in the baskets that will be passed around, and we have envelopes to record your name on these if you would like. To give by text, follow the instructions on the screen. And now, please enjoy this gift of music, Winter Bird, by Riley Ozano, with Lisa Maynard and Lisa Reitzes.
Thank you for sharing that with us. And thank you all for your generosity, which sustains our congregation and partners in the wider world. We will now take a moment to make collective space for holding the joys and sorrows of this community. As a reminder, you can share joys and sorrows via a link in our newsletter and also on paper in our entryway. We have a joy first from Carrie Lucinian. who shares that she is having normal results on this week's mammogram and MRI. So we are happy for these markers of health and wellness. And we also have an announcement. Many of you know Georgie Kunkel, a member of the West Seattle community who has had relationship with us in the past. And we are going to be hosting her memorial service on March 7th. So more information will be in the newsletter. What's that? Oh, never mind. She lived to be over 100 years old. She's a very impressive woman, and died recently. We have a sorrow from Jesse and Ellis. They write, "We are deeply sad to report that we had to say goodbye to our precious little dog Herschel this past Tuesday. We enjoyed his loving devotion and strong personality for 8 years. His last month was full of park adventures and gentle snuggles. He was the center of our lives. We are sending so much love and tenderness to you in this time." And we also carry the sorrow that many of us witnessed yesterday, the killing of Alex Preddy in Minneapolis. We send love to his friends and family, neighbors, and colleagues who are missing him in this time. And we send love to all in Minnesota who are living at the center of so much violence and unrest. May they know they are not alone, and may they know they are inspiring others. Let us hold for a moment some time of silence as we hold in the hearts all the joys and sorrows known and unknown in our community, and offer love to our neighbors in the wider human community. I have a blessing for you all, written this week by UU minister, the Reverend Sean Neil Barron. "Blessed are you who know the world is no just place, that it doesn't get better unless we drag it, kicking and screaming toward mercy. The battle never ceases, friend. And blessed are you who still stop and watch the light hit your lover's face just right, who notice the kid on the bus reading the book that saved your life once. You who know that revolution starts with refusing to let them kill the tender parts of you. The miracle is not that we are winning. The miracle is that we are still here, still choosing each other, still believing tomorrow deserves us." Let us join our voices in song.
There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all. I rest in this love. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love.
About 10 years ago, I guess, I wrote a song for this congregation, had a service on food justice. And I thought back to a time when I needed help and I needed food stamps and welfare, and I was denied welfare. I couldn't prove that I was really sick because doctors didn't know what was the matter with me. And I became one of Ronald Reagan's undeserving poor. So this is a song about how there aren't any undeserving people or beings in the universe, and it's a happy song. So, done in the style of the Hare Krishna dancing downtown years ago. All right. There are no undeserving, only stories we have not yet heard. We are all deserving. Every being has purpose and worth. Zephyr in the sky, your breath, my breath, breath of all beings is the dawn of life. Breathe with the jungle, breathe with the butterflies, breathe with the oceans that give us life. There are no undeserving, there are only stories we have not yet heard. We are all deserving, every being has goodness and worth. Grapes on the vine, apples in the orchard, do not choose between rich or poor. They give to you, they give to me, they give to the ants and the honeybee. Live like the zephyr who breathes as one, with all life past and life to come. Live like the orchard that gives so free. There can be enough for what we need. There are no undeserving, only stories we have not yet heard. We are all deserving, every being has goodness and worth. Child of the heavens, child of the elements, born of the universe, of the one, no more than just, no less than the stars. We deserve a good like whoever we are. Live like the universe, let your heart expand to everything near and far. Live like the orchard that gives so free. There can be enough for what we need. Live like the orchard that gives so free. There can be enough for what we need. There can be enough for all that we need.
That was awesome. Thank you, Riley and Lisa and our other musicians. So for this sermon, I'm doing something new and very much outside of my comfort zone. I asked you all to send me questions. I love questions. I love answering questions. But to answer many big, important, urgent questions in like 15 minutes, that's the part that's outside of my comfort zone. Not the least because these were really good questions, and I know that I won't do them justice. But thank you for sending them, because it is a way that I am getting a sense of what questions are on your souls and spirits these days, and I will carry this into future services and programs. So I tried to collect them into a few different themes. So I may not answer your question directly, but I hope to answer questions like each other. So first, A couple of different people had questions about Unitarian Universalism and our roots. So one person asked, how do we honor our UU traditions and history? Another offered a quote from a historic UU, Ralph Waldo Emerson, a question. In his book, Nature, he asked, why should we not also enjoy an original relation to the universe? So this question asker, quoting Emerson, I think was wondering about what the role of tradition is within a tradition that asks us to experience the sacred fresh and anew for ourselves, rather than having it handed down from on high. This question is kind of, does too much adherence to how things have been done get in the way of our fresh encounters and fresh living of our faith? I think that this is a paradox within Unitarian Universalism because we have a rich, rich history. We have threads that we can trace back throughout centuries of American history, stories from our forebears making an early mark in the Protestant Reformation. Our ideological roots can be traced back to the debates at the Council of Nicaea, organized by Emperor Constantine in the year 325. We have this rich tradition that we should learn and be inspired by and have a relationship to. And yet we are also a people who hold that direct experience of transcending mystery and wonder is itself a sacred text. So we know that children freshly born into the world who know nothing of history are able to experience and connect with the sacred. So here is my attempt to answer this. Because I am somebody who finds history deeply compelling and relevant, maybe even more so than the average person. I think about history every day. I believe deeply that each one of us is a part of the larger story of the human enterprise. And each of us, as humans, we strive to make meaning of our lives and find fulfilling things to spend our time doing. We try to figure out who we are responsible to, and what values we want to uphold in the world. This is the human project. Each of us is filled with potential and a special magic that comes with each new life, and we will answer these questions in our own way and time. But we are not the first ones who have struggled or hoped or tried to answer these big unanswerable questions. So wisdom that gets handed down to us is a gift that I think we really benefit from enjoying and appreciating. The stories of our lineages can be guides. This is true for all history, and I want it to be true for us, for Unitarian Universalist history. I have a colleague named Rosemary Dodd who works a lot with youth, and something she always tells youth about how to relate to Unitarian Universalism is that she tells them, if you are here, it is yours. And I want all of you to hear this too. If you are here, our lineage, our tradition, our spiritual ancestors, those are yours. You can learn from the history, find out who inspires you, who you want to turn to for guidance in times when you need that guidance. And you should also learn about the successes and the failures of people in our history. They were all human, just like us. Think about the ways that you want to carry on that legacy and ways that you want to try to do better. Learning from tradition is not just about repeating it. I find myself turning to UU history a lot these days in particular as a way to build my own moral courage, and it helps me feel like I don't have to face these days alone, that there are generations who have faced hard days before me. And it helps me to remember that I have a responsibility to try to show up to the world that I'm in. Whether we all want that responsibility or not, each one of us is living within history, and our action or inaction will shape the future. Generations yet to come will be born into a future that our lives are part of shaping in big ways and small. And so we have history to learn from and we have our own spark of the divine to experience it anew in this lifetime. So that's the brief bit on history. Sorry, I'm not quoting James Luther Adams or anything. I will do that another day. A few others asked me questions a little bit more specific to Westside. How are we working to increase our diversity? How can we directly address issues of class in this congregation? What role does this community have in responding to all that is going on with the world? Wow, we have a big agenda. As Unitarian Universalists, we have shared commitments to justice, equity, and becoming inclusive spaces that are radically welcoming. And our movement has, as we talked about in history, we have successes and we have parts in our history where we have not had the best track record for actually living into these values. Many of us, at some point in time, may have unfortunately learned that Unitarian Universalism has a distinct culture and way of being expressed that we just assume is natural and good. And often that assumed culture is white, educated, middle class, and looks a lot like Christian Protestantism. And there's no reason that that should be our dominant culture, except that those are the people who have largely influenced our communities. But that is not the entirety of Unitarian Universalism. These assumptions about what UUism is when it comes to that cultural element misses so much and can serve to make us less diverse and less inclusive. There is something precious we lose when people who would otherwise be great gifts to our community, who otherwise need a saving message for their lives, don't see themselves fitting in. And UUs have worked on this throughout the generations, particularly on the role of race in our communities, which too often mirrors the way race is handled broadly in American society. The work we need to do on inclusivity and multiculturalism includes being anti-racist, but it also includes class consciousness and disability justice and more. And there are resources we can draw from, and they have their strengths and limitations. There is a report published in 2020, Widening the Circle of Concern, that was created after some years of studying what will make long-term cultural and institutional change in Unitarian Universalism, and there are so many great suggestions, and I think our congregation has implemented many of them, and there's more to do. But there are limits to the resources out there, and Westside has to make its own roadmap and commit in its own way. We can't just say, oh, well, Unitarian Universalists are working on this, so we're good. I have looked into UU resources specifically on class, and I find that they fall short because they just stop at inclusivity without looking at the power structures underneath. There is this 2017 report by the Commission on Appraisal on the struggle of class within Unitarian Universalism. This is the title. And they talk in their introduction throughout the report about how members of the Commission could not agree on an approach to view class by, that some members of the Commission said that inequality is an inevitable ordering of society, and other members wanted to focus on the underlying systems that cause inequality in the first place, and they couldn't agree on this. So I think we can do better and actually look at the systems underneath, and I think Westside can chart its own path, and I wish I had more time to talk about that issue in particular, because it's a big one. We have done work already to be aware of racism and classism and the assumptions we make about one another, and we have farther to go. There are so many generative and creative ways that we can build a future together, and it takes all of us. I turn, in big questions like these, I turn to Adrienne Marie Brown's Emergent Strategy. Emergent Strategy teaches that change happens, transformation happens, when people follow and feed what energizes and nourishes them, and what we do on the small level of how we treat one another is the thing that will grow into changing larger systems. And so I don't always think that it's the best thing for me to do, even though I'm the minister, as one person to come in and say, okay, here's the plan, here's how we're going to fix these problems. It has to be all of us, and we have to grow and build together. And that's also how we respond to issues in the wider world. Sometimes we can't plan for the things that most transform us, but we have a responsibility to make room for the seeds that are already growing amongst us. So my challenge to this community and to myself is that we build up practice at sharing with one another about the work we are already invested in our lives within and beyond these walls. We share with one another resources, learnings, talk about what is energizing us, share our wildest hopes and dreams. And then we join with each other to build that power. And we need to consider how we work to reduce any barriers to taking collective action. Our budget is limited, our staff time is limited. We feel these realities, but we shouldn't let them get in the way of understanding that the possibilities of where we can go are not limited. That didn't feel like the most straightforward or satisfying answer, but I really want these to be questions that we are all asking each other on a regular basis. In coffee hour, committee meetings, worship, how can we address class issues? How do we grow to include more diversity of all kinds? And how are we a people who respond to the needs of this moment? I hope we are always moving in transformation together. So the third overarching theme was about sustenance. Someone asked, what sustains my faith? Someone asked, how do we keep doing our work in the world while reconciling our need to make a difference with the feeling that our impact is so small? Here's my predictable minister answer. Spiritual practice and community. On a personal level, this is true. I am capable of showing up to Westside every day and in my role as a hospital chaplain because I also sit in meditation every day, I journal, I keep a yoga practice, I sip my coffee as mindfully as I can muster, and I live in a deeply interconnected web of friends and family and neighbors who bring me joy literally every single day. My community, which includes you all, gives me support when I need it, and I feel fulfilled when I support them. I believe through spiritual practice and community, we get to grow our connection with ourselves, and when we know ourselves better and can see the patterns of what sustains us and what drains us, where we have space to tap into our inner guides or connect with a higher power, that's how we learn where we are called to move, to act, to bear witness. It is through this self-knowledge that we are more able to make decisions about how we spend our time. And it is through our connection with others that we practice acts of service that we see making a difference, and we build collective power, and we know we are not alone. Whether you are offering a chat and a cup of tea to someone having a hard time, helping a neighbor with errands they can't do by themselves, investing yourself in a community organization whose values you care about, or if you're raising children with values of compassion and justice and generosity, these actions make a difference. I hope each person in this room has had a chance at some point in their life to see the positive impact that one of your actions has had. And often we can't know how far that impact reaches. And we need to remember that this is true of a lot of people throughout history. Back to history again. Every action you take has ripple effects, some of them you can see and many that you can't. So we have a responsibility to ensure that those ripples have a positive impact on the world and to trust that it goes farther than we can see. This is the root of my faith, and this is part of what sustains me. So related, but a little bit different, I was asked specifically to share a hobby I love, or basically a fun fact about me. You guys, I think I've shared in the past, a couple years ago, that I love techno music and I love going to raves. And I need you to know that this is an integral part of my self-care practice. Many of us know that dancing is really good for the body and the soul, but studies show that the patterns in techno music in particular are this like magical combination of things that regulate our brains and our nervous systems, and I can't explain the science, but people have studied it. So every couple of months, I try to find the time to go to an old warehouse, and I listen to world-class DJs and basically do a dancing meditation until like 3 a.m. And this is a place of community and joy for me. So that's something I really love that I don't always talk about here. Lastly, somebody asked me how we can get comfortable with or even learn to celebrate the experience of not knowing. I have just a minute left. I think it is about practice. It helps that there are centuries upon centuries of wisdom traditions that have tried to work on this question and that have written a lot about it and developed lots of methods for it, so we don't have to figure it out by ourselves. There are traditions of mysticism that we can turn to. There are many people in these traditions who see that the experience of not knowing is an exciting place of possibility. It's a place where we get to touch into what is most true about life, which is its inherent mystery, just like the song we opened our service with. It can be really hard in our day-to-day lives and all of our worries for well-being and safety and care for those around us to find not knowing fun and interesting. But there are some places in our lives where it kind of naturally is. So I invite you to practice noticing any time the feeling of not knowing something is interesting and exciting. Like if you love having a birthday and you're like, how's my celebration gonna go? And that's an exciting place to be. I'm sure there are other examples of curiosity and mystery and this generative not knowing. So if we start by really leaning into those moments, maybe we can gradually expand the types of mystery that we're intrigued by and try to see more and more mystery as interesting and exciting, and ask the mystics throughout history. They've got a lot to say. Basically, keep having curiosity and keep asking questions. So thank you all for helping me shape this experimental sermon around questions, and I close with a blessing. Spirit of life and love and ultimate mystery, please be with us all. In our comings and goings, on hard days and times of gladness, may we keep asking questions, and may the questions guide us. Amen. Thanks.
Thank you, Reverend Carter. I invite you all now to rise in body or spirit as we sing The Fire of Commitments. I've been feeling this, trying to feel it. All right, here we go. From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. Thank you.
Thank you so much to all of our wonderful musicians, Scott Farrell, Lisa Reitzis, Lisa Maynard, Riley Ozano, John Hansen, Cliff Swiggett, Marion Key. Also thanks, of course, to Reverend Carter Smith, Leilani Davenberry for our Time for All Ages, John Hornby for lighting our chalice, Nate Mesnard and Sarah Deppy up in the booth, our ushers and hospitality team. As always, it's a pleasure and a blessing to do this sacred work together. Make sure to look at your West Side Week, which you will have received on Friday, for details about upcoming events. We are thrilled to announce that our Love in Action online auction opens in 1 week on Sunday, February 1st at 2 p.m. sharp, with over 130 enticing items to bid on. To get you primed for bidding, we'll have a preview of our auction website on the big screen downstairs during social hour today. Also, now is the time to buy your tickets for our fun-filled, all-ages, February 7th, Love for the Win finale auction party with spirited dancing, games, music, prizes, desserts, and taco food truck. And as a special bonus today, don't miss Lisa Maynard's offering a Cupid Shuffle to get your dance moves activated before the party. If you love telling stories, or if you're curious about it, come to our annual Storytellers Guild annual meeting and workshop. We'll be meeting in the fireside room following the congregational mid-year meeting. Next week, join us for Spark Sunday, led by Riley Ozano and Story Squires on rituals and intentions. On February 8th, our service will feature a guest speaker, Marcus Harrison Green, who will work with worship associate, for heaven's sakes, Amy Schiefelbaum. Sorry, Amy.
So some logistics. We are coming to the close of our service, but I'm going to invite most of us to stay here for our mid-year congregational report. Rick is letting Leilani know that we're starting. I'm going to share some closing words, and we'll sing our benediction song. We don't have business to vote on, so this is not a full meeting. We expect it will be brief. We'll see. RE programming will continue downstairs in the meantime. That being said, if you are a visitor or otherwise need to leave, feel free to do so when we make this transition, and you can sign out your kids at any point whenever you need to do that. We will resume our normal lively social hour after the report, where there will be dancing. So now I invite you all to please rise one more time in body and or spirit for our closing words from Jim McGaw. When I say go in peace, I don't mean go in mindless oblivion. When I say go in peace, I don't mean go without challenging yourself or others. When I say go in peace, I don't mean go in utter ease and comfort. When I say go in peace, I mean go in peace seeking justice. I mean go in peace committed to the equal rights and opportunities of all. When I say go in peace, I mean go in the peace that is created when together we build communities of true solidarity, deep compassion, and fierce, unrelenting love. Go in peace.
Upon your way, may good times fill your heart.
Okay, if everyone can take a seat again, we'll get started in just a minute. Good morning, everyone. Okay, so the goal here is to swiftly move through our agenda so that we can wrap up around noon, and I'll go down to the coffee hour. So, okay. Our agenda you can see on the slide. And I must say again that having that screen back there is fabulous for the speaker up here. Because I can see the agenda without having to turn around. All right, I'm kind of watching Don and Shannon here because I know Don is logging on to facilitate. He's on. Okay, we're good to go. Can someone who's watching online make a comment so that Don can see that he can read the comments? So you people out there in the world. Something nice, yeah. Say hi to Don. All right. We're going to start with the minister's report. So, Reverend Carter.
Hi, everyone. Make sure to wave to me if you have updated instructions for our online people. So this is almost my third year. I joined in March of 2023, and it is such a joy to be the minister of Westside that you all have decided to partner with me and that I get to partner with you. And at the beginning of this year, I signed another 3-year contract, and so just from that side of ministry things, hooray. I have a few things to talk about, just some programming highlights that I want to lift up. I am really proud of our new SOUL team, that is support, outreach, understanding, and listening. They sort of serve as our pastoral care team. So really proud of the team of folks who are part of that, and that feels like it's really addressing a need in our community to do more peer and communal support and spiritual companioning. I am happy that we moved our auction to February. That is a change. I don't know if you all have noticed, but that is really a great effort from our auction team to shift our fundraising schedule to align better with just the flow of how we do things. So please come out to that. We have been hard at work building relationships and taking action for immigrant and refugee support, as well as working, building a relationship with the local Pink Haven chapter, which is supporting trans kin who are moving to Seattle from states that their identities are being criminalized. And so I'm really grateful for our new partnerships, our ongoing partnerships, our continued strong work with the White Center Food Bank. And on this topic of justice, immigrant justice in particular, over this fall and winter, we have been developing some plans for what to do in the case that ICE officers were to come to our building. And we're trying to, not publicize it too widely because internet security is something we're trying to be careful about. But the board and the greeter team and the worship team and the musicians and the staff, we have roles to play if something were to happen on a Sunday morning. And just so you all know, we have some places on our campus that are designated as private that can't be entered without a judicial warrant. And there are some on each floor, so the entire third floor can be closed off, the fireside room, and then a classroom on this side of the building, on the first floor. So just so you all know, those are the places, and if you feel like you need to go to them at any point in time, they're there, the door can be closed, and then we all have roles to play, and that also might include standing and singing together. And feel free to ask myself or the board if you have any questions about that. and we hope we never have to enact this plan. We are celebrating the continued success of Spark Sundays. Attendance has been growing a little, and the core team who organizes those have been just providing spectacular programming as we continue to live into the covenant that we wrote and affirmed last year. And this year we have been experimenting with third Sunday programming. We had all church RE making jiggle pets and cards for our partner church in Transylvania, last week's MLK Day of Action, and then other third Sunday programming as well. It feels fun to be able to experiment and offer things to do on all Sundays, and so that's going to continue to be an experiment. We'll see what our volunteer and budget capacities are next year, but I do hope to continue that. And we have Meaningful Movies that's been inviting people in the wider community into our doors. We had New Member Sunday, so just it's been a very full first half of the year. And from the staff perspective, we are going strong. I deeply love the partnership that I have with the staff team at our monthly meetings. We wrote a new staff covenant this year that feels very affirming and aligned with our values. And one of the major joys of staff this year has been not only bringing Leilani into the DRE role, but getting a chance to work closely with her. I have loved seeing the creativity and joy she brings to all she does, and new programming as well, not just Sunday morning, but also all church RE, family game nights, parents' night out, our craft table in the sanctuary. These are all thanks to Leilani and her wonderful volunteers. And same goes for our music program. We have an excellent chorale led by Scott Farrell, and we have continued leadership of Rainier Reunion and new ensembles like West Side Winds and other performers. So I just really appreciate getting to have new musical experiences and try new things. And I know Scott's been bringing us new songs that he learned at a conference last year, so thank you for that. And there are some changes on the horizon that I want to let you all know about. Today I have the bittersweet news to share that our Director of Operations, Shannon Day, is planning her retirement. Yeah, I know, me too. She will finish in her role at the end of this church year in June. And as you all know, in Shannon's many, many years doing administrative work for Westside, she has gone above and beyond in so many ways, and just who she is as a contribution to our community. She has ministered in her own way to this congregation through joyful and difficult times, and has been a steady presence through ministerial and other staff transitions. Since I've gotten to know Shannon, she has been an integral part of welcoming me and making me feel like it's possible to do this job, smoothing my transition with her institutional knowledge and her generous and humble support of all the things that go on at this church. And she deserves the most spectacular retirement. I am deeply sad to see her leave in this capacity, but I hope you will all join me in also being happy for her to enter this new chapter. And really quick, the plan from here is that we do have a search committee forming. Jill Jackson and John Hornby and I, we've begun to work together as a search committee, and we are not a complete search committee yet, so we may be reaching out to some of you. We are working on creating a job posting, or rather, maybe job postings. We have been discussing how we want to move forward, and we are likely to hire 2 part-time people to focus on different aspects of the many, many, many roles Shannon has filled. Maybe one more focused on bookkeeping, HR, admin, and the other more focused on communications and volunteer engagement. It is in progress, and we will share details as soon as we have that together, and feel free to connect with any of us. Again, that's me, Jill Jackson and John Hornby so far. And if you want to be part of the search team, you can also let us know. As we enter this time of transition, I know we will make space for grief that may come up, and I hope that we will share our gratitude with Shannon. And we know that we will be hiring new people into her role, and we will not be able to replace her. And we have a full rest of the year with us in the meantime, so I will turn it over to Shelley and Jill to share more.
I'm seeing a hand raised. We'll do Q&A at the very end. Thanks.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Shelley Webb, and I am the chair of our Westside Finance Committee, which includes the illustrious members, John Hornby, our treasurer, Shannon Day, Ruth Herman, Barb Hansen, and Jesse Durst, and I will be providing you with our mid-year financial update. In my early 20s, I worked in telecommunications, and my boss would bring me along to executive meetings where he would provide the latest number on server upgrades in our network. And it always sounded really impressive when he did that. In one meeting, he asked me to provide the updates, and I dutifully reported 20 new server upgrades in California, 5 in Washington, 2 in Montana. Anyways, it was a really boring update. I didn't quite have the technique for making numbers seem exciting. A few years later, having chosen a career entirely based on numbers, I had a colleague who had a goal of making actuarial work glamorous. We both wanted to be the Vanna White of numbers. This particular financial update is not super exciting, but here we go, and we'll see how I do. So first with our income, if you want to go to the next slide. So first I'm going to provide an update on our income. The way this graph is built is the top gray bar is the income we thought we would bring in over the course of the year. So this is the budget or the plan. The orange bar represents how far through the year we are, so it's exactly half of the gray bar. That is where we would be if all income was received evenly throughout the year, which never happens. The dark blue bar is what has actually been received through the month of December, so we're halfway through the year. And the light blue bar with the dotted lines around it is where we think we will end up by the end of the year based on what we know so far. So this is what we call the forecast. So we're really looking at the differences between the gray bar and the light blue bar. So for pledge income, the forecast is higher than the budget. Basically, prior year pledges came in and higher than budgeted. And so that's just people who are late getting their pledges in. We really never know what that's going to be. We budget some amount for that, and more people were late than we expected. For our rental income, which is leaps and bounds, and the rental of our roof for the cell tower, the income is also higher than budget due to leaps and bounds temporarily renting the fireside room. So got a little bit more money in there. And everything else is just very close to plan. So overall income is projected to be higher than budget by about $2,500. For expenses, so for the next slide. Similar to the income slide, the gray bar is the budget. The orange bar is 50% of that. The dark blue bar is year to date. And the light blue bar with the dotted lines is the forecast. Slide has a lot more categories on it. A little busier, but if you look at the gray bar versus the light blue bar for each category, you'll see we're almost exactly on plan. There is a small difference for children and youth ministry because we did not have a youth advisor or a nursery lead in their roles at the start of the year, but there are plans for that for the remainder of the year. So overall, forecasted expenses are less than budget by about $1.2 thousand. So the next slide. So overall, forecasted income is running about $3.7 thousand more than forecasted expenses. These are in the colors are different on these slides than at home. but in the reddish-orange box, these are the balances for our dedicated funds. So these are balances that are different than our general fund, where the budget lives. So these are kind of like our big savings accounts. The building fund is at $69,000. Finance committee would like this to be closer to $100,000, so a little on the lower side. We have an operational reserves balance that is at $133,000. So this includes a life insurance gift to the congregation, a generous $10,000 life insurance gift. And for now, it's sitting in our operational reserves while the board discerns how we might want to use that gift. So that's on the higher side because of the gift. And for our accessibility fund balance, and this is money that can be used to improve accessibility at Westside, is sitting at $20,000. And just of importance, our forecast is dependent on the auction meeting our goal of raising $37,000. So all of this kind of hinges on that. So please participate well in the auction. So the next slide, and this is the last slide. Overall, financials are in a good place. So just as a reminder, when the congregation approved the budget, we did not have enough pledges and other income to support Reverend Carter at 60% time, but we approved pulling money from the operational reserves to cover that gap with the goal of growing pledges and membership to help close that gap over time, so that we wouldn't need to continue drawing on reserves for that. So we're anticipating a small surplus at the end of the year, but that includes the money pulled from reserves. So it just means we might not need as much of the reserves as we planned for to cover that gap. I just want to thank everyone for their continued support of our congregation and community with your pledges and Sunday plate contributions. And please save the date for the auction. The bidding starts February 1st, and the finale party is on February 7th. And I will also be downstairs in the social hall if people have more questions after Q&A, just to talk numbers and finances. Happy to do that. Thank you.
Thanks, Shelley. So before I begin the board report, I just want to acknowledge that we have shared significant news about a change in staff. And while we will fill the job that Shannon is vacating, we will definitely not be replacing her. And at an appropriate time later this spring, we will create an opportunity to celebrate all that Shannon has offered her colleagues, the board, and this congregation over the past decade. So if you are a party planner, see me so we can help truly fet Shannon. All right, to begin the board report, first I want to acknowledge all of our board members, so if you can stand. We have Don Wall, Vice President, John Hornby, Treasurer, Charlotte House, Secretary, Cindy Jackson, Past President, Leah Lasavita, Member at Large, and Megan Schumacher, Member at Large. Thank you, colleagues. This past fall, the board, we can go to the next slide, thanks. This past fall, the board made commitments to each other and the congregation about how we will work together. You see those listed on the slide. These commitments shape how we do our work, and they shape how we engage in the process, and they will shape how we engage in the process of identifying new staff. They also inform our goals. Next slide, please. The first goal was about continuity, continuing the work of the previous board and continuing to focus on the collaborative work that creates stability in this congregation and meets already identified needs. This has meant being responsive to Leilani when she asked for a liaison on a regular basis to her planning meetings and providing support as she encounters the new challenges of taking on the DRE role. It has also meant approving a contract with a web developer to overhaul our website this spring, so you will be seeing changes in that regard. It's also a lot about collaboration with the staff. As you have heard from Reverend Carter, there's a lot going on in this congregation. The staff and you are behind most of that. Slide number 2. Policies. This is the unsexy and necessary in the weeds work that the board does. We're going through the policy handbook. We will be dividing policies from procedures so that it's just a cleaner document, and we are in the trenches on that work right now. The needs are because some of the policies are outdated. They were just written years ago when our congregation existed in a different way, and they don't reflect current reality. So we're doing updates, changing some language, bringing things up to date. We are in consultation with the Finance Committee and the RE Planning Committee about how to update those policies to suit the congregation today. Next slide. Goal number 3. This is about strategic planning, looking to the future. This work is just starting. It's just percolating. And so I don't have much to say about it right now. You'll be hearing about it more in the future as we start to develop how to do some planning and thinking about the future of this congregation. All right. As you can see, a lot of the work we do is relational or big picture. There is also hands-on work when we get involved with things like search committees for the new staff, setting targets for the stewardship campaign, and asking you all to get involved with key roles that keep this community vibrant. Next slide, please. I've listed here some of the things that we have done. And again, as you can see, it's a lot of relational things. We've tried to be open to hearing from the congregation, creating opportunities for committees to provide information to us, to be able to respond, and to listen and celebrate all that you all are doing to make this congregation really hum. So thank you. We've also created space for the unexpected, things like Shannon retiring. So we have flexibility so we can dedicate time to being on a search committee and taking care of those needs. Last slide, please. How can you engage? As I was listening to Reverend Carter share her question box sermon, I thought, well, she's covered this slide. I really don't need to do it. But let me reiterate, self-care. Please feed your heart and soul. Participate in things that are going to bring joy to you. So many people in this congregation are doing amazing things outside of these walls. And you're engaged and you're out there protesting and you're doing meaningful work. I hope that when you come here, your soul and spirit is nourished. Take care of yourselves. That's what we are here for, and it's how we can serve each other and take care of ourselves. Be a part of a team, extend care. There's ways to do that around this building with hospitality. There are ways to do that just one-on-one with each other. When we're downstairs at coffee hour, if you see someone who maybe could use a little extra assistance with grabbing a cup of coffee or something to eat, do that. Just extend an offer to help. There are also opportunities to engage with the religious education department. Leilani needs volunteers. Do you like kids? Do you like organizing a supply room? Talk to Leilani. The garden, our beautiful garden. It looks a little dormant at the moment, but we always can use more garden gnomes. That's you and me out there pulling some weeds. And the hospitality. Who puts on coffee hour? We put on coffee hour. Can you do some dishes? Can you help make some coffee? There's lots of ways to participate, big and small. I'll also put in a plug for the nominating committee. Will be looking for new board members. That's another way you can get engaged. And give generously. Give generously because however you can, we need 100% participation. We are the people who support the finances of this church. As you just heard from Shelley, we are living within our budget, but part of that budget is pulling from our reserve funds, right? So we are essentially using our savings to balance the budget. That obviously can't go on forever. That savings account will get depleted unless we can raise our pledges to cover that gap, to make it so that we no longer have to dip into our savings to operate. Okay? Obviously, again, as Reverend Carter was talking about, there are class differences in our congregation. Not all of us can give at the same level. Give what you can. Just give what you can. Now, you can actually hit all three of these things by participating in the auction. Because there will be events where you can go have dinner with folks, go play games with folks, engage in things that will fill your soul and help you feel more a part of this community. You can volunteer. They would love it if you would help clean up after the auction. Just stick around after the auction on February 7th. Little things. And obviously, we will be doing the Raise the Paddle, as well as all of the funds from the auction go towards this year's budget, right? As Shelley mentioned, the goal for the fundraising from the auction is part of this year's budget. We need to raise that money to meet our expenses. All right. We'll be doing Q&A in just a minute, but I just want to end with this. This congregation exists to nurture spiritual growth and work for justice. I firmly believe that together, Reverend Carter, Shannon, Scott, Leilani, the members of the board, and all of you strive to make that happen in the ways that we build community inside and outside this congregation. It is a blessing to be a part of this congregation and to know all of you and to create community with you. Thank you. Now, someone has a microphone, actually, so Dawn's sitting on the microphone there. We're going to do some Q&A, and Dawn has the ability to see comments, right, from online? Okay, so we can take questions from the folks who are watching us online as well as here in the building. So, we have questions? Okay, Shannon's going to run around. And Shelley and Reverend Carter be ready to pop up if they're for you rather than me.
Is this on? Oh, it is on. My question has to do with safe places in the building from ICE. And in that presentation, I didn't hear anything said about leaps and bounds. I assume that lower classroom would be a safe place for leaps and bounds staff or children. but I don't know. And were they part of planning what we're doing?
Would you like me to answer that?
Why not?
I'll come to the front. That's an excellent question. I don't think that ICE can enter a clinic in the way that it can enter a church. I could be wrong about that, but I think it's more of a private space from the get-go. And they have their own board and executive director, and they fully use the space to their needs. So I imagine that they might be thinking about that. They may not need to at the same level that we need to, because our space is considered public on Sunday mornings. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, and there's not really a time when they're using the space that the doors are left unlocked.
Correct. It's always locked. Yeah.
Other questions? Don, do we have any questions online? No? Not yet? Okay. Paula has a question.
Just FYI, we're about 35 seconds delayed between this and
I'm a little confused about the Raise the Paddle purpose for the auction. Usually there's a project or some chunk of that we need that amount for.
Sure. Over the years, it has been used in different ways, and it is actually fairly common for us to have it, the funds go towards our general operating expenses, and that is the goal this year. The funds from the Raise the Paddle, will fund general operations. Thank you. I'm not seeing any other questions. I actually have some closing words. Did you have closing words? No? Go for it. All right. 1 second. So I am going to share with you all what we used as the opening words at the board meeting this past week. I think they work as closing words as well. The world is both burning and blooming. You get the bad news and the sunrise in the same day. You cry over the headlines, and then you laugh at a baby wearing a hat shaped like a bear. This is a dual citizenship of being alive, rage and reverence, grief and grace. You are allowed to feel both. You are allowed to scream and still notice how good the soup is. You don't have to choose. Let it all in. That's by Karen Salmason. Thank you all. Please enjoy coffee hour, participate in the storytelling workshop, and come to the auction. Participate in the auction. See you there. Oh, and yes, we have cards to folks in Minneapolis. They're in the back and downstairs. Thank you, Leilani, for supplying those.